happy Saturday. This is Sober Mind, episode 5.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Emily. That was well done.
Thank you.
All right. I'm excited, everyone. We got our second special guest on here. Last week was my wife, Judy. Got some really good feedback about that interaction. And this is Emily Crumley, my longtime friend. Emily, I've known you for 5 years?
Yeah, 5 years this...
Yeah, 2017 was a tumultuous year.
Yes.
Dang, that's a long time. And I've known your wife, Sarah, for... Next year will be 10 years.
Wow. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. A lot of interesting things have happened in that time. You have 2 boys.
I do, yes.
Jack and Elliot. Tell me about them.
They're so fun. Jack's 2, loves dinosaurs and playing all day, every day. And Elliot is just the funniest little toddler.
Good. You know what? I don't know if I've told you, I appreciate the irony of a lesbian having to look at wieners all day.
Right.
All right, gotcha. All right, the chat is open. I want to do some quick housekeeping. I'm fully aware that Judy's audio was messed up last time. It is not this time. We did a full test. Emily sounds good. Everything's equalized. Judy was on one like left or right channel, and it was all echoey, so apologize for that. Next Saturday, tomorrow's special guest, we're doing a Sunday special, is Michelle Bergstrom, my sister-in-law. She's out here visiting from Orange County, La Tida, Brea, California. Her and her husband, Guy, have been going through many, many years of the same challenges that we've been going through. So Guy has his extensive sobriety journey that he's been going through. He celebrated 9 years day before yesterday, so kudos to him for that. But while Michelle's out here, tomorrow we're going to sit down and have an in-depth discussion about the relationship that we've had for 20 plus years, and we're going to reveal some things about alcoholism and drug use and where we're all at now. Should be pretty compelling and revealing.
Sounds like a good episode.
Yeah, we'll see. It's all up to Michelle. Just kidding, Michelle. Okay, this is going to be the same formula that we did last time. I'm going to ask some probably pretty hard-hitting questions, and Emily and I are just going to sit here and chill and have a nice dialogue. I have some kombucha, so does Emily, and we've got some
Holiday
coffee.
cheer.
Holiday cheer. All right. Emily, the question I'm going to ask you is a question veiled with a confession.
Okay.
We used to get together quite often before you and Sarah went on your childbearing journey.
Yeah.
And when we would get together and hang out, we would often drink, and probably pretty heavily, in my opinion. And then usually when we would separate for the night, I don't know if you knew, like if we would leave your house or you would leave our house, Judy and I would continue to get really, really drunk.
Yeah.
All these years that I've known Sarah, this is the confession part. She knew, and I think obviously you knew, that we drank heavily, but it was probably more of a happy-go-lucky partying mentality.
Yeah.
Because, well, hold on, before I do the because, did you ever think or know that Judy and I were alcoholics?
I don't know that I knew that you were an alcoholic or Judy was, but I did know that after we would get together and we would hang out for a couple hours, I would be way drunk, and by the time you guys would leave, I would have to lay down and take a nap, and I would pretty much be done for the day.
Because she tried to keep
I
up
would try
with
and
the
keep
Lunds.
up with you guys, and it was just never gonna happen for me. But I don't know that it crossed my mind that you guys were, I don't know, to a point where you were like drinking way more afterwards.
Yeah, so that's the confession part, is that Judy and I hid that from you and Sarah for a long time.
Yeah.
So I apologize for that. What we would do is, remember, sometimes you would ask for help moving furniture or something on a Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
And we would say we couldn't because we were busy or something.
Yeah.
It's because we were probably too drunk to drive at that time already, or we had a wicked hangover. So that's that.
Yeah.
Surprise. I appreciate, real quick before I get into the next question, that when Judy and I made the decision to stop drinking, me, you, Judy, and Sarah met for some delicious Indian food lunch.
Oh yeah.
And I started talking about it because it was a big deal for Judy and I, but you and Sarah's response was very supportive, which I appreciate, but you guys didn't take it as seriously as I did. And Sarah's comment was, John, I know this is good for you to, how energetic she gets and supportive. Good for you, John, for not drinking, but if in a couple of weeks you want to have a beer or something, that's fine with me. No judgment.
Yeah.
When soon as she said that, I realized that she and you did not understand the scope of what Judy and I were really struggling with.
Yeah. Because I think the whole time that I've known you guys, you've really kept that hidden from us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that leads to the question of that. Do you think if you noticed that Judy and I were struggling with it, that, I know it's tough to ask a hypothetical, it's maybe not fair, but do you think you and Sarah would have discussed it and maybe confronted us about it?
Yes. Because, Sarah and I love you guys very much. And if I would have seen you in a way that made me feel uncomfortable, because I knew that you were like hurting or in pain, then absolutely I would have talked to you about it or talked to Sarah about it, and then we would have both had a conversation with you. I think, anyway.
Yeah,
Because for us, we very much view you guys as family, so it wouldn't hurt me or make me uncomfortable to talk to you about those things. I would have wanted to be part of a conversation with you about that. But you guys told us. And then during that lunch, I knew that Judy was serious and that you were serious because you were telling us that you guys had found books that you were reading to keep you accountable every day to not drink.
After that conversation, did you and Sarah, I'm just curious what your conversation was. Did you maybe say, oh man, I didn't realize that they...
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know that you guys were drinking in excess as much as you were until you told me. I knew that, like you said, on Sundays, I knew not to ask you to come hang out on Sundays because Sundays were your day home with Judy to chill. And pretty much only on Saturday mornings would we get together.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Interesting. It's interesting because I was thinking about how I would ask that question this morning on my run, and it's super compelling that as best friends, we kept that a secret, because Emily, it was really, really bad. We got to the point to where we physically couldn't get out of bed. There was a couple times I thought I'd have to go to hospital. I think I drank so much one time that I think I did give myself alcohol poisoning, but we don't, as friends, I guess, we don't stop to, I don't know, it's something I have to continue to think about. Judy and I never said, as we were discussing with each other on how we should or could try to stop drinking, like, should we maybe engage Emily and Sarah? Because we know what you guys are our dream drinkers. You know, you can have a drink and then that's it. Something that, as far as moderation goes, you guys are awesome with that, but I cannot. So I digress. I'm talking in circles. This is the beauty of being live. Can't edit this out.
Yeah.
We never looked at each other and said, maybe we should talk to Sarah and Emily and see if they could recognize our issue or give us some help. I don't know. Instead, we just keep it hidden and secret.
Yeah. I don't know how I want to word it. I think that, we very much live different lives, like you and Judy, and Sarah and I, because we have young kids. We can't, what's that?
I just switched the camera view.
Oh, sorry. Because we have young kids, like, we can't go out and hang out with you guys the same way that we used to. So I don't think that, now looking back on it, I realize that, like, after everything that you and Judy have told us, that you guys were struggling and that you were drinking, and it's I think a little hard for me, because I care about you guys so much, that I didn't realize that you were struggling in the way that, like, you know, really close friends would notice that type of thing, or I would hope that they would anyway.
Yeah. We're making up for it now, but we did miss out on some meaningful moments, for sure.
Yeah.
So I gotta remember when we did all of our half marathons and 10Ks.
Yeah.
There was
on our road trips.
Yeah, there was a couple of the local 10Ks where Judy and I were just hung over. Man, it was a tough one. Okay. All right, I'm gonna tell you. Do you want to ask a question from me right now, or do you want me to get into this confession/story?
Go for it.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you the drunkest I've ever been and how horrible it was.
Okay.
With the caveat of, this is the drunkest I've ever been that I can remember.
Okay.
When I was trying to think of this story, I realized that there's countless times where, of course, I've been blackout drunk. That's the excess drinking that we used to do. There's not too many times, I don't know what the percentage is, that I would just drink a little bit. Probably on the weekdays, I would not go to bed hammered because I have to get up early and go to work. But the times that I drank super heavy and blacked out are, I don't know. I wonder, this morning I was thinking, like, man, what is the highest number of gallons of beer that I drank in one sitting?
That's an interesting visual.
Yeah, it was a lot. It had to be more than a 30-pack in one sitting. Okay, so the drunkest I've ever been, and this is something I haven't talked about with Judy and Michelle. This is very apropos that she's here because she was a part of this. So in 2005, we were living in the San Francisco Bay Area, and this is a very regretful story. So I'm gonna get a little emotional. If I start crying, Emily, just pick me up.
Just give you a hug.
Yeah, just give me a hug and let's move on. Hold on, let me wet my whistle. So Guy and Michelle came up from the LA area. We lived in the San Francisco Bay Area. And kind of the big thing to do when they'd come up is we'd go into the city, San Francisco. So we got on the ferry, and of course we were already drinking in the afternoon, and then we went into the city and we went to a restaurant, and we were drinking and eating. And Guy, he's probably the heaviest whiskey drinker I've ever known or seen in my life. I mean, an insurmountable amount of whiskey this guy could drink. A fifth, no problemo.
Wow.
and still be completely functioning. And he would usually drink that fifth of whiskey with, like, 30-pack of Coors Light. That was his
Oh, wow.
his beer. Yeah, so shots, drink, shots, 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 shots,
And
shots,
the
shots.
silver bullet.
Yeah, all day long. And so we went out, and I was never a huge whiskey drinker. I stuck more towards beer. And if Judy and I drank liquor, it was more vodka based. But so I don't know. I just got into the spirit of things, and I was I was matching Guy with his shots of whiskey. I became just super, super hammered, but still functioning and walking around. And Judy was super drunk too. I think Michelle was super inebriated, but she was kind of our guiding light on trying to get us home. So we left and we got on the ferry, and we drove across floated across the bay, got to where we were getting off the boat, and we were on the upper deck. And as we were walking, Judy slipped and broke her ankle.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Just like snapped it in half. That's that huge scar that she has. And when she says she broke her ankle, that's where and how it happened. Go ahead, drink.
Oh, it's just moving.
Okay. So she was so... I was so drunk. She was so drunk. Emily, you can scooch over here. There you go. Now you're more in frame.
Oh, there we go.
We got off, I don't know, I can't remember all the details. We got off, we ended up over on a bench in the parking lot where our car was, and I got upset that she broke her ankle. Michelle was sitting there running around, trying to figure things out. There was panic, people were screaming. Oh yeah, got
I
the
just
chat
realized
going.
the chat's up there.
Emily, read some of those and see if we need to answer questions while I'm telling this.
Oh.
So, please. They were sitting on a bench. Judy's screaming, crying in pain and agony. Guy and Michelle are trying to figure out what to do. And me and my frustrated wisdom went, Judy, you're always ruining things for everybody. You have to go and break your ankle. And I grabbed her pant leg with her broken ankle and I shook it.
Ouch.
Yeah. And then I walked away and got in the car and left all three of them there.
And you drove?
And I drove like 50 miles in the wrong direction, almost to Sacramento. I don't think Judy and Michelle even know that. And I remember this. I should have passed out in the car while I was driving, but I remember just working super, super hard to keep my eyes open, and then figured out, I like regained my sort of semi-senses on where I was, and then got back home way down south. So left them basically about 40 miles away, just abandoned at like midnight. And I got to our little apartment and I parked, and then I went inside and passed out. I guess. Because I woke up the next morning, Emily, I don't know if you've had this, but like the sheer morning panic of like, what the fuck did I do?
Yeah.
This was oh my God, please, like the deep, dark desperation. I'm like, I hope, because the little bits and pieces started to come back, and I could barely move. I was so hungover, and I was like, please tell me that didn't happen. Please, oh my God, I will do anything to erase this.
Yeah.
And I was looking around for Judy, and I peeled myself out of bed and went over into our tiny little next room, and she was laying on a futon, just a wreck. I think she had a splint on.
Did she go to the emergency room?
Yeah. Of course, not a good place to be when everyone's super drunk.
Yeah.
So during that time, we were also right in the middle of moving about 30 miles north. So I can't remember really the details after that, but I remember sitting down and telling her, like, what are you supposed to say?
Yeah.
I shook her broken leg. And, oh, Michelle and Guy were leaving that day. I don't know if they were scheduled to leave or not, but they're like, fuck it, we are out of here. Good one, John.
How did they live far away from you guys at that point?
Yeah, so they were staying in a hotel, like, I don't know, 200 yards away where we lived.
Okay.
Downtown Walnut Creek, California, a very rich area. We were not rich. But I think they swung by, and I think, so Judy could not get out of bed. I think they came by and said, bye, John, super fucked up what you did, and left.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm sure you guys get it. I could sit here for like a half an hour trying to explain how shitty I felt. And then
I'm assuming a very, like, regretful experience, right?
wildly regretful. Check it out. Didn't stop me from drinking. Not even for like 2 days. And then once Judy got all healed up, she continued to drink too. That should have been the eye opener for sure. That should have been the rock bottom. So anyway, I ended up, she couldn't do anything. She was scheduled to go see a doctor, and then she was going to have surgery. She had to get a plate put in there with screws.
Oh, wow.
It was bad.
Really bad break.
So I had to move the entire apartment, and then move her, and then get her put up in a bed up in our new place, and then figure out that was like, I told myself that was my punishment too, having to move us all by myself, because she couldn't do a single thing. Then she had surgery, she had that done, and then here's the other thing that I was always struggling with, and we'll get into. I'll announce the episode that the next 3 episodes that I'm gonna do, and the topics on that after this. But you know, my whole stance on opiate use and addiction, because my entire family died from either that or alcohol use. When Judy was basically bedridden for a month, she started to become wildly addicted to Norco, which is like Vicodin times 3. It's very, very potent. And of course, that was my living hell too, is while I'm downstairs drinking, she's yelling from upstairs, bring me another Norco. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, I'm stuck in an endless loop of, I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this shit now.
Yeah.
And so she had surgeries, blah, blah, blah. Long story short, the first doctor accidentally put the plate over a ligament and screwed it in, and then put the cast on too tight. It was a mess. So she had to have a second surgery, and the doctor fixed that. I'll never forget her name, Dr. Cook, if she's out there. Because I came in and I said, hey, Dr. Cook, I'm concerned about her. Judy was right there with me. I said, I'm concerned about her level of Norco use. And the doctor literally said this. Judy was there. She goes, we'll deal with addiction later. Let's just deal with let's just deal with pain management right now. And I was like, what?
Well, at that point after surgery, shouldn't she have been concerned that she was still having that much pain? Her doctor?
I can't remember what stage we were at, but when we got home, I did have a long discussion with Judy. I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't break your ankle. I know I did some desert episodes after the fact at the bench, and I feel really fucking sorry about that. But we need to figure out this Norco situation.
Yeah. And
she was very receptive to that. I said, we're going to tape her off of it.
I'm sure that was very triggering for you.
It was. It's extremely, because it scares the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So she was very receptive to that. Thank you, Judy, for that. We don't talk about it often, but she's like, all right. Go get me a half then. And we took it from there. And because it's, if anyone's dealt with that, you can tell people's, after 30, 60 days of being on opiates, what I describe it as, no matter if you're in pain or not, your soul starts to diminish. You can just see it. The passion for life starts to slowly get squished. But okay, that's the drunkest I ever remember. Not a good time.
Wow. Sounds like a very intense time.
It was intense. And then so dealing with myself, dealing with Judy and mine's relationship, if I was Judy, I would have left my ass right then after I healed. Maybe she couldn't because she was all hopped up on Norco. She's like, I should divorce his ass, but I'm too high.
Yeah.
But, you know, I guess that's the cliche of marriage too, through thick or thin, and we figured it out and we moved forward, and here we are doing much better. Okay. Emily, ask me some questions.
Okay, let me get my phone.
While you're doing that, the thing that was really diminished too and took a long time to mend was the relationship with Michelle and Guy.
Oh, I'm sure. As Judy's sister, she's obviously going to be very protective of her.
Yes, they were very upset, and then obviously they should be. But I don't know. We slowly started to move forward with that, and then for a separate episode, once I have Guy on here, we'll talk about when he got sober and how resentful I was at him getting sober. But anyway, yeah, we finally figured out how to get past that, and I appreciate having Michelle and Guy in my life.
Good. Okay. Well, you answered one of my questions earlier.
Which one?
Which was, do you envy people who can drink and stop before they hit their limit?
It's not an envy. My buddy Patrick is on here. Him and I talk about this often. It's because at the stage I'm at right now is very healthy. Judy and myself and Michelle were talking about this. We're at the best stage in our lives to have recognized this and quit, because it is so visceral that we have zero desire to drink because we're so conscious of everything we've done. And those cravings are gone. They pop up once in a while when I see a white wine commercial. And that's a good example. As Judy and I looked at each other when we saw that white wine commercial. We're like, oh man, wouldn't that be good to have because we used to drink boxes of wine.
Yeah.
And we'd get some white wine and some peanuts, and it's so tasty. Judy used to put some like peach slices in hers. But that's the thing, is we can never just have one. It's not an envy. Patrick and I were talking about this. I don't understand how to not continue getting drunk. It feels very, I don't think I've ever talked about this, or people don't really talk about it. Once you get like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 beers in, it feels unnatural to stop feeling that good. It feels really counterintuitive. And maybe uncomfortable even, like I don't know what it's like to consciously drink in the afternoon and then get sober.
And like be awake for the rest of the day. And
yeah. I don't understand that concept, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've seen people, obviously, I'm like a space alien. People go to a party, they have a couple of glasses of wine, and they're like, I gotta stop and chill out for an hour because I need to drive home. I'll be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You have like 3 more bottles of wine to drink and then drive home drunk. That's the way you do it, man.
Yeah.
I kid, but no. So I like that. It's very respectful that you guys can do that. So there.
Well, that was another one of my questions. Like, I don't ever want to... Well, first of all, I'm very proud of you and Judy because, like, if anybody knows John, whatever you're into, you go, like, 1,000% all at once. The second that you're into it, you're like, this is going to be it. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And I love that about you. But I can also see how, in certain situations, like drinking, how that's a bad thing. And I would never want to make you feel uncomfortable. So I wouldn't want to, go out to lunch with you and Judy and be like, does it bother you if I have a drink? Like, because I wouldn't want to do that and be like, just me be hyper aware of your sobriety and make you feel hyper aware of your sobriety in a way that you didn't want to.
I appreciate that. And the canned response to that is, I'm fine, you can have a drink. But you know what? I'm being honest, you're right.
You shouldn't do that, though.
It shouldn't have to be a thing. I don't know if I'll get to that stage. I'll be honest, Dad lives here. We've talked about his whiskey drinking and how he quit. I still don't like it when just smelling beer when he opens it up sometimes, then seeing him sitting there drinking it there's no emotion attached to it. It's just a thing. Like I really notice it. See his empty 6-packs around. I'm like, God damn, it's like a frat house around here. Just kidding. But thank you for that. Well, and that's why it's nice having friends that can be sober.
Yeah.
You and Sarah don't have to go out and have a drink. Judy and I in the past would absolutely. That's what we used to base restaurants around. Like, what kind of beer do they have? We really don't remember the meals that we had. It was like, what's the level of drunkenness we can safely get before we drive home?
Yeah. Well, and it was like before Sarah and I had kids, and we would hang out regularly, like probably once a month. Everything would be kind of built around drinking. So you would be like, we'll come over on Saturday. This is my impression of John. We'll come over on Saturday. I will get up first thing in the morning or work on it overnight, and I'll smoke a salmon. It's gonna be delicious. We'll have a few beers, and then that's what we would do all day. We would wait for you to come over. We'd eat salmon and drink the whole time. And then I would get to a point where I was no longer functional, and you'd be like, all right, we're going to go game and get out of here.
We would game, but we would be getting super drunk again. We'd laugh like, Emily, what a child. She can't keep up with us.
I could not.
Okay, what do you got for me?
All right, my next question. Is there something that you do every day to strengthen your recovery? And is there any way, as a friend, that I can help you do that?
Ooh, that is a good question.
First of all, I think this is great.
I've been looking forward every week to Saturday. I did not realize how much of a healing process this is going to be. I think Judy and I don't have a ritual. That's a really good one. I'm going to think about that and see what I can do to make sure of it. I'm so conscious of it, but what Judy and I do a lot is we wake up and we look at each other and go, oh, it's so nice not to be hungover.
Yeah.
Because it was so debilitating towards the end.
Well, and I'm sure that, because, I know that you used to drink even on weeknights, but I'm sure that waking up refreshed to go to work and like not have to be worried about being hungover makes a huge difference. But also on days when you don't work and you just wake up and you just get to chill and not have that hanging over your head.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Oh, absolutely. And to be clear-headed and have a clean soul and spirit. Like on a Saturday, in the past, 2 years ago, I would have been a little bit hungry. We'd be drinking beer for sure.
Yeah.
Talking about
100%.
The irony, talking about my sobriety and mental health, drinking a beer. But yeah, I gotta ruminate on that. What do I do to make sure that I'm strengthening it? I think I just live the consciousness of it. I surround myself with sober people to start with. I'm lucky enough that I have, oh my God, our subscriber count
33
went from 24 to 33. Okay.
What
was the second part of that question?
Is there anything that I can do as a close friend to help you with your recovery? Or to strengthen your recovery? Other than being a guest on your pod squad.
You know what? Very selfishly, it would be nice to once in a while just get a random acknowledgement, especially during our anniversaries.
Yeah.
The big ones. At the end of this month, it's a year and a half, 18 months. Maybe a little, hey, good job, bud.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you for asking that.
One of my other questions was, is there, sometimes I do things and I want to reward myself for doing that. Like if I, give up sugar for however long and then like start eating clean, which I've been doing, which is great, but like, have a treat every now and then. Is there anything that you and Judy do now being sober where like you realize how much money you guys have been saving from, not drinking? Do you consciously like have that money set aside that you and Judy are going to reward yourself for not drinking and like go on a trip or something?
No. Good talk. No, Dang, these are good. These are good questions. They're tough, Emily. The financial thing, oddly enough, we've funneled into eating healthier, and we love coffee. We have regular coffee and decaf coffee, but we do fresh ground beans. We realize we spend a lot of money on that, and that's fine.
Yeah. Reward yourself.
Yes, we do reward ourselves. Judy and I often joke like, oh my God, we're doing this and we're spending money on it. And then we go, yeah, but we're not, sitting around drinking. Oh, Michelle we're playing Hogwarts Legacy. The game is epic, everybody. It is so good.
I've been seeing that a lot everywhere.
Oh my God, we started playing it last night. Michelle, Sarah, and Judy were watching. And this morning I said, I'm really excited after this. We're going to start playing that. And Michelle's like, isn't that crazy that I'm so excited about it? I'm like, it's not crazy. At least we're not going to a bar doing shots, stuff like that. So you have to just give yourself perspective once in a while. Judy and I's reward is that our relationship has become so much more intimate and conscious, if you will. I really fear that if we didn't quit drinking, I think we would be down a path of serious relationship destruction. It would be noticeable to friends for sure.
Yeah.
So, our reward and our reward is our acknowledgement that we always see. It is. I know, Emily. There's alcoholics out there that struggle with this, and maybe you do struggle with something else. But once you get to this point of freedom, of not being
like held down by it.
Yeah, and crippled by the disease, if you will, then just every waking moment is our reward for stuff. I get up early. I just showed you what I'm doing in my garage. Oh my God, Ed, she saw the French clee wall.
It looks awesome. I'm jealous.
Being able to get up early in the morning and hear the birds chirping and all that stuff. When you're early on in this sobriety, those are things that you really still notice. I get goosebumps like right now talking about it and thinking about it, and I'm living in the moment, having my best friend here with me, and these are things that we're creating as we're going. And even if I wasn't hammered right now talking about it in the past, there's this always perpetual blood alcohol level that alcoholics are dealing with, and a little hangover. Your mind is never clear enough to embrace this. So that was a long-winded answer of no, we're not saving enough money to go on a trip because we spend it on healthier things probably, but the reward is just a ongoing thing.
Good. That's awesome. I have a few more questions.
All right. I like these Q&As.
What have you specifically learned about yourself since you quit drinking? And what have you specifically learned about Judy since she also quit drinking?
Okay, I'll do Judy's first. When she quit, we're going to have a different episode discussion about marijuana use, because she used marijuana for decades. But on tomorrow's episode, spoiler alert, Michelle and I are going to talk a lot about that. But what I noticed with Judy very rapidly was when she quit both of those, she was getting like spicy, zesty.
Yeah.
And I noticed it about a month later. She's like, she's getting animated and passionate about stuff that I've never really noticed in the 20 plus years we've been married.
That's crazy.
It was nice, and I even told her, I said, you were snazzy. She's like, what do you mean? I said, you're just vocal and complaining about stuff and expressing your opinion. She's like, what am I complaining about? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have an example, but it's good.
She's not muted.
She's not muted. Yeah, I realized then that maybe she's such an empathetic, compassionate person and she doesn't like conflict, to where I think over the years a lot of that suppressed conversation and openness and debate in our marriage.
And that affected your relationship.
And I'm sure it did somehow, because I don't know, I'm probably the kind of guy that if you just let me continue to do something and I think it's right, even if that's, moving through a relationship foundation, then I don't know. I probably did tons of things that she didn't agree with or pissed her off that she didn't vocalize.
Yeah.
So her passion is what I notice about her, big time. What I notice about me is that same thing. Mine's a little bit different. I didn't share this a lot with you and Sarah, but I've talked about it on here. This is the mental health portion of it. About a month, that first month was glorious. We found a whole new level of sleeping that was happening.
Yeah.
And refreshing, and dreams, and like, you know, when you're in bed and you stretch, you're like, and that good feeling you get.
Yeah.
I realized something with my nervous system wasn't allowing me to actually feel that goodness.
Really?
Yeah, in years. And just like,
Probably because you're just like, you were, from an outside perspective, you just kind of seemed tense all the time a little bit.
I did?
And, yeah. And that's something that I've noticed about you since you guys have become sober, is that you seem more John. I don't know how else to describe it. You just seem more yourself now than you've ever been. Since in the 5 years that I've known you.
I didn't know I seemed tense. I always seemed like I was trying to be a chill, relaxed guy. I was not, huh? I had a lot going on in there.
Yeah. Well, it was always like you were, you know, if you were hanging out with us, you were always like ready to go home or go.
It's because I needed to continue my drunkenness.
Yeah, but there's not that tension now. You're just like, you were over at our house hanging a TV not that long ago, and it was so nice to just chill with you for a couple hours and chit chat. And you weren't like in a rush to leave. It was great.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was a bundle. So that's what I've noticed about myself is... Okay, hold on, I digress. The mental health aspect of it in that first month hit me like a truck. I was really not expecting it. I became sober, and I don't want this to sound cliche because I know it happens to people, but there was an awakening for my brain that was way above just like a spiritual or a conscious level. It was a nervous system awakening of a broken neural network.
Oh.
So that's when the panic attacks started happening. The physiological part and the anxiety, and then the up and down depression. And it was really frustrating. Fast forward a couple months, because I'm like, I got sober. I'm taking care of myself. I lost a lot of weight. I'm eating healthy. And Emily, Judy saw me go through this. I never told you or Sarah. There was a stretch for 3 weeks where I had legit agoraphobia.
Really?
I could not leave the house.
Wow.
I was having teleconferences with my psychiatrist, and they're doing medication management. So the bottom line of my journey with that was so I saw a therapist and a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist was breaking down the medical portion of it and then doing medication management, because I started having childhood flashbacks of my abuse. This is gonna turn into a huge long story. The psychiatrist broke it down this way, in a very almost smart ass way, but that's why I like her. I'm like, I can't sit on the back porch and drink a cup of coffee because there's no joy there. I can't play video games because the happiness isn't there. I'm not interested in anything. So that's sort of a foundation of depression. Mm-hmm. My libido was completely gone. So, and that's another thing for a male is, now I'm like, well, fuck, I got sober. Now I can't, have an intimate relationship with my wife. I'm depressed. I'm anxious. I'm locked up in my house. I'm like, what is the point of this? Because I get too wrapped up in my head and I can't think, all right, make this small. Let's attack one thing at a time, because it gets real noisy in there. I had to come home from a therapy session once, and the only thing that gave me a ton of relief was what my therapist and I talked about. A really horrific situation in Desert Storm where some people died. I don't want to get into it right now, but I had came home and I asked Judy if she wanted to know what happened, because she never asked and I never shared it with her. And she said, if you're comfortable telling me that. And I said, I'm not uncomfortable, but I need to unload this. There's a lot of guilt. There's survivor guilt. There's a bunch of shit to unpack.
Yeah.
So I told her what happened, and it felt weird, like you just like you just admitted to a lie after 30 years of something that you weren't dishonest about, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Veterans carry around this stuff that's a topic for a whole nother conversation, but that was a good mending process to start with. I felt it took me all day to kind of figure that out and how to deal with that emotion, and then how I unpacked it and realized that I haven't told Judy a lot of my pain and struggle, because I never thought I was like this. I always thought I was very open and vulnerable, but I realized after I quit drinking, the stuff I wasn't sharing with Judy was because I'm the typical caregiver male that doesn't want to appear weak.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten much better at just telling her and showing her I'm not comfortable with this. That scares me. Please just hold me.
Being vulnerable, yeah.
Yeah, there's times where I feel depressed when I was going through the medication adjustment and management, to where I ask her to just hug me. And me not like giving a hug back, just being held. It feels so comfortable. I'm like a baby.
Yeah.
It's like a baby stuck inside of me, still figuring out how to develop emotions.
Yeah.
And then Judy will come in, and there's times when I just have to go, can you tell me everything's gonna be okay? And she'll stop and she'll go, everything's gonna be okay. Everything's fine.
That's so comforting.
I'm like, because it feels like the fucking world is ending. It's a train wreck in here. Anyway, I digress. But that was the frustrating part of me getting sober, was my brain there was a physiological and chemical breakdown that wasn't right. And the psychiatrist broke it down. She's like, John, she's Russian, so she's like, look, John, it's going to be okay. You did 20 years of very heavy drinking. You broke your fucking dopamine receptor.
Yeah. At that point, when you had changed your medications, you were newly sober, and having all of those emotions, were you at that point like blaming your addiction, like, God, like this is why all of this is happening? Or were you realizing like, I've been suppressing this for this long, and maybe was that why you were drinking?
Both of those. Yeah, because I realized I never drank to suppress anything. I never intentionally did that. I always drank because I like to drink and be happy and celebrate and party and have that social aspect of it. What I realized from the therapist and the psychiatrist and the sociology behind it is that if you get to a certain stage of alcoholism, you stop the developmental purging of stuff.
Okay.
It's everyone with heavy drug users and alcoholics, you just squish your soul and your spirit's venting process. So my dopamine release was drinking. Mm-hmm. It would make you feel happy. It would give you that dopamine release and endorphins and serotonin and all that good stuff. But what was happening after the sobriety was that the amygdala and the cerebral cortex, now they're like, guess what, motherfucker? We got some shit to unpack.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right. So the brain starts to bring it all out, but the neural pathways are literally damaged. So serotonin receptors are misfiring, dopamine, norepinephrine. And the thing about those is those aren't just feel-good chemicals. Those are foundational structures in our brain that was causing me to walk into a store, hear too much noise, and then have a breakdown like I'm gonna have a heart attack. They're uncontrollable things. Like that's what was stopping me. I'd have to go. There was times towards the end when I was trying to really do the immersion or exposure therapy and be like, babe, I'm going to Hy-Vee.
I'm gonna do it.
She's like, good luck. I'm like, I found a way. Oh, see, I started getting lightheaded right there talking about that.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Just a bit much. So there's times when I'd be driving and I have to pull over, and like I call Judy and say I'm fucking freaking out. A lot of the wins that started happening after the medication adjustment was at a successful drive all the way to Omaha, where I have to commute to. I went into the building and worked all day. Or, I'm not kidding, my test is always Home Depot. I'd come back and be like, babe, I made it. In and out, and I stood in an aisle. I didn't get dizzy. I didn't get sweaty. And I got out to the truck and I felt borderline normal, even though I was working on the anxiety. It's fucking horrible.
I have anxiety like that too. But when that happens for you, is it more of just like everything internal that's happening that's making you feel like that, or is it also like internal and external factors, like there's so much noise, like I can't hear my thoughts, I can't go through the list in my head of these are the things that I need to do while I'm here, because of all of the other things that are kind of just happening in the background?
All of that, because it's so noisy, but mine, I had that panic attack so bad when I had to call 911.
Yeah.
That, and this is a thing, people that have panic disorder understand this. I started to have panic attacks because I was afraid of having a panic attack.
Okay, yeah.
Once you have one, you're like, fuck, if I have one of these in the store?
Yeah, scary.
Then as soon as that thought even starts to grow legs, it's over.
Yeah.
And I just have to back away.
Reset.
Go get back in my truck and go, Jesus fucking Christ. And the thing with me was, man, I've been in 3 combat zones. I've done some wacky shit. I'm not afraid to do things. I was a truck driver. I was a logger. Yeah. I'm like, I can't.
Worked for Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, worked for Paul Bunyan. Painted Babe the Blue Ox's ball sack. That's a story for another time. Emily's favorite.
It is my favorite story.
But I'm like, and I told my therapist about that. I'm like, I'm not a chump, but I can't walk into Hy-Vee now. And I've worked on being sober.
Yeah.
And I can't, she's like, we're going to calm the fuck down. We're going to get through this. You're not alone. That's the thing that started to help too, was like, she just said those key words. That's why I like to tell people, you're not alone. We do that when we think of all of our problems and troubles, right? Like, oh, I'm a freak amongst 8 billion people.
Yeah.
We're not. My problems in the grand scheme of things aren't that bad. But anyway, that's the frustrating thing for the beginning of the sobriety. Now, a year and a half in, start to get some stuff dialed in. The depression pops up once in a while. But yeah, a really long way around that is that I never drank to suppress, but drinking suppressed a lot of that stuff. And then when it tried to come out, didn't know it was trying to come across some broken highways. So it's getting fixed. Got a long way to go.
Good.
That was a long answer. Sorry, everyone. Hope you're still here.
Okay, this is...
Judy said, pink eye.
Do I have pink?
No, remember when I threw the slush?
Oh, yeah.
Now everyone's like, fuck, John, what are you talking about?
You'll have to tell it in a different episode.
I will.
Or
I'll tell you a funny story one day about Paul Bunyan.
It's the best. Okay, my last question. Do you notice yourself having any problem behaviors? And if so, how do you challenge that to continue your sobriety?
Yes. Man, Emily, you came with some good questions.
Zingers.
The problem behavior that I have now is a lot of this stuff is has started to manifest itself into what I would consider a borderline obsessive compulsive path that I'm very conscious of.
Okay.
Like, you saw the garage, the French cleat wall, that occupies every waking part of my day until it's done. And I can't finish it because it's exhausting and there's other things going on. But it's destructive because once I get a project in my head now, it's so cerebral that Judy will tell you, I've woken up at 2:30 in the morning like a little crackhead.
Just to go work on it?
Like, ah,
Wow.
God. There's tons of shit I've done around here like that's not healthy. It's all really nice stuff. I could help build a house if I get passionate about it, but I got to keep a check on that. I've talked to my therapist. I talked to my psychiatrist, and the medication. Yeah, I'm what I think is learning to be okay with that sometime. Yeah. Patrick has walked by several times now when I'm working on the garage. He's like, "Hey man, don't stop because of me." Like, fuck. He's caught me out there for like 5 days in a row. But anyway, so I'm conscious of that. I'm working on it because that's not healthy. But or is it sometimes? It's like a pro and a con.
I think that one of the ways that I really relate to you is you very much have a creative mind, and for me, I have ADD, and that's something that happens to me a lot. I hyper focus on things. I'm not able to like turn my thoughts off about it. Like, I have 2 kids. They're like, I need a bottle, I need a snack. I have to do all of these other things, but I'm like, I'm hyper focused on this specific task, and I want to get this specific task done. And until it is done, I can't stop thinking about it. So yeah. I don't think that that's necessarily an unhealthy thing. I think that's just the way that your brain centers around a specific task.
Yeah. Yes. Pros and cons to it for sure. People like us are activators. We can get some stuff done.
Yes.
If we're interested
yes.
in it.
That's key.
My struggle is like I can do some amazing stuff, but when it comes to administrative tasks at work, I can't. I get to the like 98% finish line. I'm like, I can't fucking finish this. Yeah. I can't. Sarah will tell you like you want to make me mortified? Just have me do a spreadsheet. I'll fucking panic.
Like
I'm like, oh my God. I got some bad feedback from my boss last week. He got pretty frustrated with me. It's because of this administrative thing, and I just had to tell him, I'm like, I don't know what it is. I straight up told him I probably shouldn't have. I'm like, I've talked to my psychiatrist about this spreadsheet. He's like, what? I'm like, I can't finish it. I got no excuse because I have zero interest in it, and my brain is just like, I know there's gonna be repercussions.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
For me, because I very much get that way, I can't separate these are my strengths and these are my weaknesses, and for me to be able to complete this task, I have to do both of those things, and that becomes very difficult for me because I only want to do a specific portion of a task that I'm hyper focused on, and the rest is like, the cleanup or the organization, that's because of my brain looks like scribbles up here. Sometimes it's hard to maintain that.
Yeah, it's a clown show in there sometimes. Yeah. Huh? I feel you, sister. It's tough. Thank you for sharing all of that.
You're welcome. What questions do you have for me?
Hold on, I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this one.
Okay.
I've been saddened. Okay, I'll just do the confession part, but with the realization of I know exactly what it is. But this is how I feel.
Okay.
I feel it's very selfish. I feel like I have not gotten what I need from you and Sarah emotionally in the last couple of years.
Oh no.
But because you've had 2 kids.
Yeah. There's that.
Sometimes I do catch myself. I'm like, man, me and Sarah are best buds, and she used to really help me out with stuff. She had to go and have those fucking kids.
Yeah, they require all of our attention and time.
So I had to get very introspective about the fact I'm like, this is life happening for everybody.
Yeah.
This is not how it's always gonna be. I've got that solid friendship and relationship, but there's times when I sit back, I'm like, man, it doesn't feel, I hope it's not drifting away. I know it's not, because I come over to your guys' house, I'm like, oh my God, you have at it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's too much. That's what I just live vicariously. I'm like, I'm gonna go over and get some Jack, get some Elliot, and then they start to cry and shit themselves. I'm like, I'm out. Yeah. Don't have to deal with that.
It's too intense.
Yeah. So, the question is, do you feel like, because you guys did that very quickly.
We did.
You had one, then you had the other. You got married. And
Yep.
lesbian framework.
Exactly. Isn't that the stereotype of lesbians? Like, all right,
Yep.
we had our first date, pretty much inseparable, got married,
Yep.
6 months in.
Surprised that you got a Honda. I was expecting the Subaru Outback.
Who knows? It might be in our future.
All right, but so from the outside looking in too, I thought, man, that's a lot. Did you ever feel like you guys went into a lot of this stuff a little bit overwhelmed?
That's a good question.
Marriage,
I think
children,
it's-
house.
I think it's a bit different because Sarah and I are not a straight couple. It's not like we can just, go make a baby very quickly. Everything that Sarah and I have done to build our family has had to be planned and budgeted for. And I don't think I don't think that we did things too quickly. I mean, when we got married, Sarah was like, I want to have kids. And we talked about that on our first date. We both really, wanted to have a lot of kids. And, like Sarah and I met later in life. I was 29, 30, and Sarah's 34. So knowing that we want to make that happen, we had to do so quickly. But also there's a lot of like science involved and those procedures, have to...
I can imagine with Sarah that there was a spreadsheet involved too.
I would not be shocked if she has one.
Emily, here's the next 5 years laid out, and we will do it by this workbook.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, the next one.
Well, hold on. Can I talk?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Very good. What you said about not getting what you need emotionally from Sarah and I. I hope that that's not the case for the future. But also, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm with these kids all day. It's different for me because I don't get to go have adult interaction every day. Like, I am with a 2-year-old who talks a lot now, but still struggles to be like understood. So reach out to me, like send me a text message. I would be so happy to talk to you. It's just when they're occupying my mind all the time, I forget to reach out.
Yeah, and I look, it's very selfishly, infantilely. I get it.
But no, like we need your guys' relationships just as much as you need ours. I need adult interaction and also especially to be seen by people who love me and want to have a good friendship with me. I need that interaction as well.
Okay. All right. We'll do better.
Deal.
Okay.
Pinky swear.
All right. Okay. Last one, I think, for you is Emily. I've never known or asked. Have you struggled with any addiction in your life?
I don't think so. For me, my growing up, my mom's side of the family all really struggled with drinking.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Ooh, this might get emotional. So yeah, and I don't have good memories of that. And I think that because of that, I am very conscious of how much I drink. My grandfather was not a nice person. He's dead now, which good riddance. But when he would drink or when my uncles would drink, they were mean and they it was a very uncomfortable experience. I was probably 7, and we used to have family get-togethers where my uncles would bring their kids over and we would play. We had a ping pong table and we'd try and have good family time. But my uncle burned my forehead with a cigarette while he was drunk, and he was I told him that hurt, and he was like, well, you'll get over it. So specific times like that make me think oh, I don't want to get to that point, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm sorry that happened.
Okay.
That's
Well,
horrible.
it's not,
Yeah. alcohol has a way of creeping into everyone's lives somehow.
Yeah. I think that, like, when I was growing up, my mom was very conscious of the fact that everyone in her family was an alcoholic. So I didn't really see my parents drink very often. I can remember the first time I saw my dad have a beer, and I was like at home, not at like a social gathering with my uncles and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. But my dad is a person that I was comfortable with, and watching him drink versus someone who gets mean when they drink was very different. So when I was of the age to start drinking, it was okay for me to do that, and not have to associate being like the people in my family, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. This has been a fantastic discussion.
There's lots of comments.
I know we should.
Kim's on.
Hi, Kim. Sorry, everyone. We're looking at the chats. We should probably have a moderator come in here in case people are asking questions. Ed, F spreadsheets. Amen.
Yes.
Man. Okay. This has been amazing.
I agree.
I love the format of. Will you be a guest again in the future?
For sure.
Okay. I would love to have you. All right. We're going to do some housekeeping and wrap it up, unless there's anything else you want to talk about. You know, I'm an open book.
I do.
Probably offensively open about stuff. I know it makes people uncomfortable sometimes. Patrick and I were talking about that yesterday. And my friend Ed, sometimes it's a little, I don't know, sometimes people like me and Ed and Patrick that are too open about stuff, it's a little cringy to some people, huh?
I guess for some people it could be.
Yeah. But not you, Emily?
No. I like being vulnerable and having open conversation.
Yeah.
Makes me feel closer to you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And so how was this? Did you were a little nervous in the beginning? You got a little bit more relaxed?
Yeah, I'm good.
You relaxed now?
Yeah.
I told you would be. Okay, and maybe we helped somebody today. Maybe we talked about something that they're going through and knowing that no one's alone. And reminder, if you're struggling with mental health, depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, or suicidal thoughts, got the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline on here. Call them or reach out to a friend or family. There's people out there that can help, and sometimes just opening up that conversation can get the momentum going. Okay, Emily, I'm definitely having you on again in the future.
Awesome.
We're gonna do something. We're gonna have a crazy discussion.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm down.
All right, I got a good topic in mind. Okay, tomorrow, I got to make the thumbnail and get it ready. Michelle's going to be on. It's going to be riveting.
Epic.
Well, yes, we're going to talk about some stuff. And man, once Michelle, I'm going to have to turn the volume on this mic down because Michelle's going to be going wacky. Okay, heads up, I'm going to get some other thumbnails posted for upcoming episodes. I'm going to talk about this. Emily, check this out. I'm gonna be by myself. I'm gonna go name by name, and I'm gonna go down the list of all of my family members who have passed away and how they passed away. Not in like gory detail, but because it's all from alcohol or opiates.
Addiction.
Every last one.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about
Intense.
that, and then how it affected me. Then on a separate episode, I want to talk about all of my childhood abuse and verbal abuse that I went through as a child, and how at 50 years old, it's still something that has affected my self-esteem and changed the makeup of the personality of who I am.
Yeah.
So dramatic. Okay. Anything else, Emily, before we sign off?
Nope.
Thank you very much for being here. I love
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for being a part of my life.
Always.
All right, everybody. Have a good rest of your Saturday, and we will talk to you tomorrow. And then every Saturday, tomorrow's a very special one whilst Michelle's here, so Sunday special. And then after that, every Saturday at 9, pass this on to a friend, send them the link, tell them to subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.